Hey guys, so as you can probably tell from the title above, this is going to be a serious topic. It's always hard to talk to the internet. It doesn't really matter how many views you have, how many subscribers you have, if you have none at all, if you're talking to yourself, if you're talking to the world. Talking about personal things kind of sucks and it's hard to do. But as far as mental health goes, which I think bullying definitely figures into, I think it's important to share our experiences because for so long, mental health carried around a very bad and negative stigma. It made a lot of people felt a sense of shame for whatever they were dealing with, and it's still very common today. A lot of people don't get help for those exact reasons. So I feel like talking about it not only lets people know that hey, I went through the same thing. Um, it's nothing to be ashamed of, but it kind of gives other people hope that they can conquer it. I know that I would not be in the position that I am, feeling much happier and healthier if I didn't have a lot of the internet videos and friends that I did, telling me, hey, I've been there. So I guess I'm just gonna tell you what I think bullying is, first of all. Give you a few examples of the things that I've went through, and then tell you how you could deal with it, both individually and through outside sources, and also maybe how bullying or bullies themselves can stop or apologize and make amends if you're a bully who's watching this video. And at some point, I think we've all been bullies, and I think it's important for us to kind of accept it, point it out, and try to make up for it and move forward. Um, okay, so I guess I'll just talk about the two main situations that I think of when I think of bullying. Um, and start off by saying what bullying is. So, bullying, people have this idea as far as like all realms of mental health goes. As humans, we like to put people in boxes. It happens with sexuality, it happens with or like gender. We like to put people in boxes because it makes it a lot easier for us to process and understand. But doing that is extremely negative. It is extremely harmful to people. We like to do this with mental health too. For instance, someone who cuts is usually put in the box of they do it every single day, they do it on their arms. Those are like very two general ideas of a cutter. Someone with an eating disorder is underweight. Someone who is bullied every day by a certain group of people. But a lot of the times this doesn't really fit to the majority of the people who are experiencing it. People with eating disorders are most of the time of average weight or overweight. People who self-harm a lot of the times do it very seldomly and in random places that you can't see. People who are bullied aren't always bullied by one group of people every day. You could be being bullied if you're being bullied by your parents. You could be bullied by teachers. You could be bullied once a month. You could be bullied by random strangers who collectively just feel like one person. And that's kind of what I experienced. I never had one signal, or one single, sorry, group of people who just berated me. It was more so a combination of comments from people on general or similar topics that they tended to go for. And it was not an everyday thing, but it was maybe once a week or something like that. So I don't feel like I ever really believed that I was being bullied because I had the idea that bullying was someone like taking your lunch money or, posting stuff about you every single day on the net or something like that. But I definitely was, now that I look back, and it definitely affected a lot of the ways that I think of myself and took care of myself. Um, so I'll just tell you the two experiences that I think of right off the bat. When I was being bullied, it was mostly for my weight, and this included from friends. I used to have friends who referred to me in the neighborhood. There was two girls, one, and we both had the name Jessica, and people would refer to me as Big Jessica, like in my presence, like people would be on the phone and someone would be like, oh, who are you with? And they'd be like, Big Jessica. And I'm like, are you serious? Like thinking to myself, you couldn't think of tall Jessica, Jessica with the crazy hair. I've always had crazy hair. The other girl was like short and long brown hair. Like, come on, we could have like figured out things. So from a very early age, I had those very rude comments flash my way, but there's one moment that stands out in particular. And it was in sixth grade when I walked to class, and it was my first day, and I was really excited to make new friends and just kind of start over because in elementary school I always tried too hard. I tried to be funny because I just was very self-conscious about myself, and I've figured middle school would be my fresh start. I'd make friends, I'd be myself, and things would work out. The minute that I walked into my first period, of sixth grade. I was a little late, and the whole class was already there, and there was one seat in the back, and I went back, and the kid goes really loudly, "We have a fat chick in class. Oh, great." And the whole class erupted into laughter. That is an example of bullying. That was unnecessary, it was malicious, and it was single-handedly made to put me down. Um, and being the smartass I am, of course, I was like, "Oh, great, we have an asshole in class." You know, people chuckled at that, like, "Hey, that girl has thick skin," but it really did hurt. Um, that kid kind of made comments throughout the year, and the worst experience that I personally have is when I was walking home from the bus in like eighth grade, and this kid pulled up in his car, and he was in the passenger seat because obviously eighth graders can't drive, and he spit on me and he called me a fat bitch. And then he drove off, and I had no clue who this kid was. Well, I mean, I knew him from friends of friends, but he didn't know me, and I didn't know him. And that's what bullying is. It's someone, for some reason, feeling the unnecessary need to make fun of you or put you down or hurt you, and without a cause. And it's just a kind of malicious thing that, like, a bully has. It's just the intent to hurt without reason. And things like that, comments like that kind of persisted my whole life. Not just by strangers, but by friends who thought it was funny, by relatives who thought it was their place to be rude about certain like weight problems that I had and whatnot. And it really hurt. It really affected me, and it made me gain more weight for sure. It definitely was not prohibiting me from eating like a lot of my relatives thought it was. It made me so self-conscious about my body that I used to wear jackets in 90-degree heat. I remember being as young as 9 and being in school, and I live in Florida, and it was like right towards the end of school year, and it was super hot, like 90 degrees outside, and the air conditioning in the school had broke, so everyone was wearing tank tops, and I was wearing a thick black jacket. And I remember being like 9 years old, and someone being like, "Jessica, why are you wearing that? Are you crazy?" And I had what I thought was the most brilliant excuse, and I was like, "Oh no, I get cold when it's hot and hot when it's cold. I'm freezing right now." Meanwhile, I'm like sweating my ass off, like stinking in this big 2-inch thick jacket because I hated my arms. At 9 years old, I hated my arms. I've missed out on so many things because of just the loathing I felt for myself in regards to how people made me feel. Like I didn't make myself feel like this on my own. This didn't come up out of nowhere. This came out of comments from strangers and family and friends throughout my entire life. And it took me a long time to kind of say to myself, "Hey, you know what? I was a victim of bullying. Just because it didn't fit the mold of happening every day from a certain group of people didn't mean that it didn't happen. People were still malicious towards me with no rhyme or reason, really." And it's taken me a long time to pull myself out of it. It is definitely a big contributor to the ever so prominent depression that I had, and the generalized and social anxiety that I was diagnosed with. And I definitely think that if people were kinder to me growing up, if people had not felt the need to be rude and malicious towards me, that I would probably be a different and maybe be a different person today. I don't think I would have had to struggle as much as I did. But I don't want people to get the impression that just because those things happen to me or they're happening to you doesn't mean you can't pull out of them. I am so happy right now. It sounds so cheesy, but I woke up this morning and I decided to go see the sunrise. And I'm a type of person who I have such bad social anxiety, but it's weird. I have to have like someone with me at all times because I hate the idea of being by myself. And I got up and I went to the beach and I just saw the sunrise, and for like a good 10 minutes I just sat there by myself, and I'm gonna cry, sorry. I felt so happy with who I was for a second. And that's hard. That took a long time to get to, and I did it on my own. So sorry guys. So if anyone is looking to combat bullying, I guess for the younger generation, I would suggest talking to a parent or a friend. If someone is maliciously hurting you without intent, if someone is putting you down just for the sole purpose of trying to make you feel bad, then you have every right to tell them. You have every right to go and point them out. If they are outwardly hurting you, you have the right to stop it. So I wish with every fiber of myself that I would have told someone in middle school, in elementary school, about the people who picked on me. I definitely would go back and redo that. So if you are a younger child who happens to stumble across this video, I suggest talking to a parent, a counselor, a friend for advice even. If you're an older kid like me and you have dealt with bullying, but you're kind of entering the age where it's passing, but you still have the fresh wounds of it and the scars of it and whatnot. I would just suggest two things. One, try to get a thicker skin, and it took me a long time to realize this, but people can't hurt you if you don't let them. Someone cannot use your flaws against you if you don't view them as flaws. J.K. Rowling said something great, and I'm going to totally butcher her statement, but she said something along the lines of, there are far worse things to be than ugly, vain, conceited, malicious. Those are things I would never take over being overweight. Like, I would rather be overweight any day than be cruel to someone. And I think, in a way, being bullied, dealing with those experiences, it's made me a more of a compassionate and understanding person, a more empathetic person who really wants to help people, really wants to do something with my life that's going to make other people feel better about themselves. So, just overall, just kind of remember to like love yourself. As my tattoo says, love yourself. And nobody can hurt you if you don't let them. And the internet, while it can be a dangerous community, it can also be a great community. And I've made a lot of friends who have just been total rock stars, super just rocks for me. And I could be that friend for you if you want. I know that sounds cheesy, but I have no life, so feel free to message me or add me on Tumblr or Facebook. I don't care. I am here with open arms, and if you guys want advice, if you just want to have a one-on-one talk, I'm totally down for it, because I've been on the other side. I've been the person who's asked someone to talk, and I came out a lot better. So I know my video is kind of a mess. It's not scripted, as always, and I was a big baby for about a good 5 seconds there. But I really wanted to make this, so hopefully it didn't suck completely. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.